So in moving on, I was modifying. I like my D. I wanted to have a visual weight that's similar to the A. But of course, I can't tilt it in a completely different direction and still have it be readable. But I could probably get away with it being a little bit bigger, like so. And just like in Photoshop, you can turn on your rulers with Command R. And just like in Photoshop, with the large selection tool, you can bring down guides that can help you see. So if my A goes up to there, maybe I want my D to also go up to there. See if I can make that work. And now I have to space those largely. I have to make them fill up this space. And that's why I kind of like the open O of some of these other fonts or other typefaces a little bit better. But I can all make it, customize it, make it my own. Now, what if I don't need something as weird as this? Because my R is weird, my E is weird. There's a lot of customization here. But basically, the B, E, T, T feel like they're all on the same line. So there's a way, besides modifying each individual letter, while you're still using the type tool, and I'm going to show you up here. What if I just wanted this text to be arced over the top of my illustration? There are the arc tools you can use, but they actually don't let you then create outlines and turn them into a vector. So I'm going to show you a simpler way, which is called the Type on Path tool, which is a wonderful tool in Illustrator, very simple. So I'm going to lock the stuff I was doing, and I'm going to go back to this solution. In fact, maybe I'll use another font just for the experience. So this is still as a text tool. So what I'm going to do is use it as a text tool, select it all, right? Copy it, make a new layer where I can show you this. Edit, paste it in place. And I want to now make it go above this. So I've copied the text, but I don't actually need this group. So I've copied the text, it's on the clipboard. So I've shown you that. Now I'm just going to use the pencil, and I'm going to draw the way I want it to go above my illustration. Just loosely. Remember, I'm on smooth, so that should smooth it out for me. So there we have this nice little arc, and I can redraw it because it's the pencil tool. And I can smooth it. And I can use all the different copy and pasting tricks to make it symmetrical if I need to. Okay, so let's say that's how the path I want the type to go on. Now, I go to the type tool and I go down to what's called the Type on Path tool. So there are a lot of variations of the type tool, and I click on that path, and now I paste it in. And now it will fit whatever it can on that path from the middle because I have it centered. If I want it from the left justified, it will do that. Now I might need to shrink it all to fit more. There we go. Because that's what that little plus sign is showing. You don't have quite enough space to fill the path, or you have too much letter form to fill the path. As I shrink it all, it will be on there. And because it's still a type tool, I can still play with kerning individually or as a whole, holding down Option, spreading it out, and it will keep it on that path. Pretty nice, right? If I want to center it on the path, I can use the centering. And still as a type tool, you'll notice I didn't have to individually outline them and arrange them. But then the best part is, if it's a Type on Path tool, you can modify the path with your pencil, even while the type is on it. As long as I have the layer selected. So I can redraw this path, and it will re-output the type. Looks like I should lengthen it a little bit so it's more forgiving. And I can do kind of weird things. So that is the Type on Path tool. And what's nice about it is then, whenever you're happy with it, you can create outlines and turn them into vectors. And so then these vectors are already kind of angled and oriented. The difference between what I've been doing and that is that this, using the Type on Path tool does not change where the anchor points are on the individual letters. It simply outputs them at different angles to fit your path. And that's why it has some limitations. Yeah, so that's an alternate way I could have gone about this. But the path always has to be underneath the letter forms. It can't be on the top of, without swapping it. And so you'll find those under the type options. You could also use the area type tool, which is you block in a shape, and then the type tool will only fit within that shape. It's like making a text box. And so on and so on. All right, so back to what I've been working on. To me, it's important to lock things as I go, so I'm not affecting things I don't understand. And I'm going to start with the W, which is pretty crazy, and I'm just going to roughly move these in. Using the small selection tool, I can move them, I just can't rotate them and everything without the large selection tool. Rotate and stretch. And then make them wonky. I might actually decide to use this O entirely on its side, because I want it to be so wide. And then I'll modify it from there. Yeah. Let's do it this way. The R I don't want to copy and paste, right? So I'm going to modify this separate from the one I've already done. We're doing custom type. We want to do custom type. And we're almost there. Now, once we have the black type, we have the shape. And then instead of trying to color it in Illustrator, though I could use different colored strokes and different fills, if I save it as an EPS file, then I can bring it into Photoshop, and just like we colored our spot illustration and did color holds and things, I can do that with this type. So I'm going to widen all of these to kind of stretch to that D a little bit more. So you don't need to be a slave to your sketch. You try to improve your sketch as well. Okay. So what modifications does this need? Well, the W needs some work. And I'm going to use the pencil tool. Try to get that little tilt. Try to change it side to side. But I like a lot of what's already there. Round out the bottoms a little. And if you go too far, Command Z, always very helpful. And if you don't want redrawing with the pencil, use your lasso, grab corners, move them, or even whole anchor points. Individual, whatever it takes. What I love about that lasso selection tool is you don't have to know where the anchors are to know which part you want to modify. And if you ever get into trouble, like have too many anchor points, going too wonky, you can just redraw. You have to go through at least one anchor point for that to count. So this is largely to help you see the potential of designing type in Illustrator. It is something that takes, a lot of practice, a lot of focus to really master. So I'm not looking for mastery here. I'm just looking for you to feel empowered in your own designs. Because the hardest thing for an illustrator starting out is to have their work designed by someone else, have typeset in a way that they don't like. And they still have to, the work still represents their efforts. It's just, they might think it got ruined. They have no ability to even know why it was ruined or how it was ruined or how it could be better. Because they haven't played with type before. So I can even take this whole side, select it with the lasso, and then move it in. That's what I love about the lasso selection tool. And you pull in the handles to make straights. And because I modified the center of the other R, I feel like I need to on this as well. I have a hard time making straights with the pencil tool. I end up often smoothing it out or erasing, deleting anchor points. That one will work though. Okay, L is tricky. Look at the weight difference. So I'm going to change that right away just with the pencil tool. Slim it down here, thicken it up here. So it helps fill that space a little bit better. Then if I want to pull it further, I can select this whole end, drag that out with the small selection tool. Use the lasso, select that whole end, drag that up and out. See, that's how you can kind of italicize. Until I click somewhere else, it will select that whole area. The top of the R, I don't like really where that's going, so I can select all of it, use this small selection tool and kind of push it where I want it, and then just modify the curves and the anchors that transition as best I can. These ones are a little tricky though. And when you get into trouble, use your pencil, use the smooth tool. You're trying to minimize the need for all these anchor points.